It's about 15 minutes before the hour, joined by Athletic Director and Head Football Coach of the B.B. Comer Tigers, Coach Adam Fossett. And Coach, good morning.
Good morning.
We're about a week out now, or a week past the restructuring by the Alabama High School Athletic Association, or high school sports. Your take on all of this?
Honestly, I was shocked. I didn't know that. I didn't think that what they said would happen would happen. Like I thought that. I thought it was kind of a lot of smoke, and then they were going to come out with all these classes, and everything was going to be as normal. So a little bit shocked at how things were handled and the decision that was made. But you know, looking at, and I think looking at smaller schools like us, the numbers aren't. And when I say numbers, the enrollment numbers aren't a big difference. So like you look at our region, there's probably a 50-person difference in the numbers from the biggest team in our region to the smallest team in our region. But you look at where they condense 7A into 6A,
yeah, and
you've got schools that are twice as big as other schools in that same region. So when you're talking about a 500 kid difference, that's a big difference on a roster. So you know, I'm not in that situation, but if I am in that situation, I would have a concern if I have an enrollment of 500 and I'm facing a team that has an enrollment of 1,000. So I think that is going to be kind of a competitive difference, and the goal is to have a competitive balance. So you know, moving forward, I think we got to see what this experiment will happen, what will happen with it.
At least 2 years of it anyway, right?
Yeah, at least 2 years, and I'm not real sure kind of what, you know, supposedly there's supposed to be a big meeting tomorrow with the private schools and the AHSAA, and you got some politicians involved and things like that. So, you know, I just kind of sit on the outside and look.
Let me ask you this. B.B. Comer has played, and they've got the 1 through 6 public schools, and you got 2 setups of private schools. B.B. Comer has played private schools. A lot of people think private schools have an advantage. Do you see it that way?
Yeah, I think private schools that do things that get the kids in, and the term recruit is used. Recruit kids in. I think they do have a big advantage.
But that's not new, though, is it?
No, it's not new. It's something that's been done forever. And you know, the decision to when the decision for the private schools to come into the AHSAA, as a public school, that was a big question: is how is their rules going to be, you know, meshed into ours? Well, it was presented to us that they're going to follow AHSAA rules, but there's a gray area between, and I don't remember the timeline, but there was a gray area where they were still AHSAA and they weren't quite AHSAA. And during that time, man, there was kids, you know, coming into those schools and enrolling, and you look at rosters, and it's no secret. You look at rosters, and from 2 years ago to last year, you're like, well, that kid wasn't there last year, that kid wasn't there, and you look and you see, you know, 7 to 10 kids. Well, that's not an advantage.
Even numbers wise.
Yeah, I don't get to call, you know, the local schools and say, you know, hey, look, I need this kid and this kid, and you know, to help fill out my roster. So, and you can't just let, you know, in this day and time, and it's a touchy subject for some, but you can't limit the private schools in the recruiting aspect either, because it's happening in public schools.
For the last 2 years, B.B. Comer had been in 3A after being in 2A for having a successful run all the way to the finals of 2A championship a few years back. And now moved back into 2A. We look at Region 4. You see the graphic there. That's where B.B. Comer is in 2A football. Your look at Region 4 this year?
It's a competitive region. You look at obviously Lynette and Reeltown. They played in the semifinals. Lynette went on to play in the state championship last year in 2A. So you look at that and you see some quality opponents. Central AHSAA, Coach Flowers has those guys rolling and playing well. We're familiar with Dayville. We've had them in the region the past 2 years, and Dayville has a ton coming back. Horseshoe Bend and Ranburne, always tough opponents. So you kind of look at all that and you see a competitive region. And I wasn't upset with our region. I think you look at some different regions across the state.
Oh yeah.
And there's a lot of other schools in the state that should have some issues. So yeah, we had our region meeting yesterday. So looking at going on the road, region-wise, going on the road to Reeltown, Central Coosa, Horseshoe Bend, and Randolph County, and then home against Dadeville, Lynette, and Ranburne.
You got some good local flavor though on the schedule.
Yeah, we got some guys back on the schedule that we needed to have back as far as Fayetteville, able to play Chillsburg year in and year out, and that Chillsburg game is going to be on a Thursday night, week 0, which is it'll be the first football game in this area. So, and that's how it used to be years ago. Even when I was at Chillsburg, we would play that thing on a Thursday night. So. And then Vincent obviously is always a good game.
That's become a nice rivalry for you guys.
It has. It's become a good rivalry, and it's a good friendly rivalry. Coach Weatherford and I are good friends, and a lot of our kids and Vincent's kids communicate a lot. So it's a good little rivalry as well. And I'm looking forward to getting to next season. Looking forward to. The opportunity. We've been in the weight room, and we've started all of our off-season prep and getting ready for everything. So for us, we'll have an older group, we'll have a big senior group, and ultimately, it's I explained to our kids, like, we will be as successful as you're committed to being successful, and it goes out to the parents as well. Like. Our parents will be as successful as they're committed. So as far as getting kids to workouts and expression of their kids, hey, it's important that you be there, making sure that those kids are there. So, we've got a long way to go, but we've made some great strides so far in the off season.
If you compare 2 years prior your 3A schedule, including your region. And you roll into this coming fall for the next 2 years, your region and your region opponents and your schedule, it's much more conducive to success for the Tigers.
Yeah, it is. I think just numbers game-wise, it's more of a even balance, because you look at and just knowing all the coaches in our region, they're like us. They're going to play a ton of guys both ways, and we saw last year or the last 2 years. They would run off 9 guys on offense and 9 guys on defense, and like 2 guys were playing both ways. So, it was you go to like Lee Scott, and they got a kicker that's booting it through the uprights on kickoffs, and we're trying to find a guy that can squib it down the middle. So, but yeah, I think just competitively, it's going to be a lot better, and this goes down to. Like looking at our region, you're looking at some tradition-rich schools, and you're looking at some small community schools, and that's like, as an older coach now, you see those teams, and the Reeltowns of the world, and Lynette's of the world, and Dadevilles. That's what small school, high school football is about. That's what Friday Night Lights is about. And my big concern is that with all the changing that's going on, that the small schools are going to be like non-relevant over a matter of time.
You've got Central Coosa County. They're building a team there. In the last 2 years, the coach there done a fantastic job. Made the playoffs for the first time in forever last year. And people say, well, what's so special about having local teams, local flavor? Well, one thing is the money aspect of it.
Yeah, it's definitely the money aspect, because everything costs. Like there's a fee in everything that you do. So being able to have some local games and local gates and being able to do that helps out a ton. Us in Chillsburg for the past 6 years, we split the gate every year, and it's just to help each other out.
Sure.
Gate-wise. And like this year, with it being on a Thursday night, week 0, it'll be the first game in this area for anybody. So it should be a good crowd. And you take that good crowd and utilize that monies for pregame meals and travel and bus drivers and equipment and stuff like that. So, and at the end of the day, it's you got to worry about safety of the kids. So, helmet reconditioning. We recondition helmets every year. I buy as many new helmets as I can every year to rotate helmets in and out, because they're only good for 10 years. So, as they rotate out, you're going to have replacements to rotate in. So it'll be, man, it'll be a good, good money gates. But also I think it's going to be good competition. And again, I'm looking forward to us moving forward and getting better and preparing for next season.
Coach Adam Fossett, head football coach and athletic director at B.B. Comer. The restructuring the Alabama High School Athletic Association was done last Friday, and it starts this fall. But it's just not for football; it's for all sports.
Yeah, it's all sports, and volleyball got their area, and it's interesting because football we go south for everything. Volleyball we have Vincent Midfield and I3 Academy. And we're still kind of investigating I3 Academy. They're based out of Birmingham, but they're a charter school, which that goes to question some other things about this decision. Charter schools were not considered part of private schools. So we have I3 Academy in our area for volleyball. I saw where University Charter in Livingston is still in AHSAA as well. They're the charter school that beat Fayetteville volleyball last year in their regionals, or I think the regionals, yeah. So that was an interesting thing to see that the charter schools were still in.
Coach Adam Fossett, head football coach and athletic director at B.B. Comer, our guest. Before we go this morning, huge changes, and the Alabama High School Athletic Association made sure that they stayed away from the changes as restructuring, but it affected every school. And it affected B.B. Comer, but it could be in a good way for the Tigers.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good thing. I think you look at just the total picture of what it is, and my hope is that if all this sticks and they do the private school sector and then the public school sector, now I hope the AHSAA shifts their focus to making sure that all the public schools are following the rules and doing what they're supposed to do. So there's a lot to be said about a homegrown team instead of a hand-picked team. And it's important because you look at our schools and you look at the schools in our region. Those are homegrown teams. And the most recent thing I saw is people are justifying the recruiting. Everybody does it. We don't have a recruiting program at B.B. Comer, so we're trying to get guys out of the hallway. So everybody does it is a false too. Yeah. So.
Just before we leave this morning, winter sports ending, spring sports about to start. Where are we as far as winter sports are now?
So we have senior night tonight for basketball. Vincent's coming in. We have senior night tonight. And then we have area tournament starting late next week. We have to go to midfield for the area tournament. Our basketball area is
never fun.
It's pretty good. Midfield is loaded. Chillsburg's really, really good. Altamont's pretty strong, and then there's us. So, going back to the private school, Altamont's in our area now, and they have new faces every year. So. But they're in our area, and then baseball, softball, and track's getting ready to get rolling. And I had a group yesterday that I'm back doing track again. I hadn't done it the past couple of years, but I'm coaching track again this year. We had a group yesterday do some running, and all I heard was how cold it was. I was like, our first meet's like March the 6th. It's going to be cold then too. So they better be ready for that. So,
right. Coach, thanks a lot for coming by this morning. Adam Fossett, head football coach and athletic director at B.B. Comer, and we'll be ready to go come August for sure.
Yes, sir.
All right, we've got more Daybreak coming up in just a minute.